In my 20s, I had reached a point after coming out and realizing that my being queer was going to have a really big impact on my family. I had decided that it was the nicest thing to do to just not be here anymore, and that would make it easier for them. Now, obviously, I only had part of the information there, and there's a piece of them that it wouldn't be easier for, but I couldn't really see that at that point. And what was interesting was that after, I thought this was a very nice gesture. And I was sincerely sorry that I hadn't been able to figure out how to be the way, I was supposed to be according to my upbringing. And so I was like, I'm sorry, and I won't make you deal with me anymore because I know it's been so hard. It felt like such a burden. And after trying, I couldn't figure it out. So I was like, I'll just, take myself out of the game so that I'm not creating such a problem. And what was really surprising after I didn't die, I died and had an NDE and then came back. And I was in the hospital, and, everybody had decided that I had, before I even gained consciousness, they had diagnosed me with borderline and rapid cycling bipolar and, all these things, and put me on all these medications. And when I woke up, I was so surprised that everybody was so angry. And that they were like, you messed up our life and all this stuff, and you could have ruined our lives. And I was like, well, gee whiz, I was trying to help you out here. And so then it became, instead of me being queer being a problem, or me having an eating disorder, which was the problem before me being queer, I became a problem for being mentally ill. And then it was, we have to take care of you because you're mentally ill, or we have to, you're making all these problems because you're mentally ill. And then I got in my relationship and then marriage, and then, had a baby, and it was, you're so hard, you're giving me a mental illness because you're so mentally ill, and you can't be a parent because you're so mentally ill. And it was, just never ending. And so for those years, 15 years after the overdose, I was doing all that I could to be like, I promise I'm not mentally ill. I'm mentally healthy. And prove. I'm not mentally ill, I promise. Don't send me back to the hospital. Don't lock me up. I was so scared. I'm not suicidal. I'm not eating disorder. I'm so happy. I'm so steady. I don't do anything weird. I was trying so desperately to prove, and so desperately to distance myself from any association with mental illness and my actual sensitivity and my actual disability related to my history, including the trauma of having brain injuries as a baby, including the trauma of being a queer person and within a community, an evangelical Christian community, the trauma of being a part of a, abusive cult when I was 20, a part of having the trauma of, living in fat phobia and having an eating disorder. I was trying to disassociate from all of that and say, oh, I'm fine, I'm great, I'm healthy, I'm so good, I'm just like the rest of you, and stopped allowing myself to wear what I wanted to wear, or act like I wanted to act, or believe, or be quirky, also the trauma of being neurodivergent in a society that only celebrates neurotypical communication behavior, there was so much that I just tried to hide away and push away and fight with and deny. And now that I have been, thanks to dialectical behavioral therapy, thanks to my brain injury doctor, who first was like, yeah, you had brain injuries and you have a difficult time being on the planet because of it. And my vision therapy doctor, who are like, yeah, you have to be anxious if you don't know where you are in space, and you need these therapies and these glasses. And psychiatrists who have told me, you're not borderline, you're not bipolar, but you have mental health stuff that's a challenge because of all that you've been through. And PTSD from all the religious stuff and the head injuries and the divorce and being queer, and all of it validly has affected my brain development, and my ability to connect with emotions and thoughts, and has made me very susceptible to depression and anxiety and suicidality. And I would say especially since having a therapist who really encouraged me that if I just kept avoiding the feelings I was having around gender, that it was going to be very hard for me to find peace within myself. And another therapist who encouraged me if I had just kept avoiding my feelings about spirituality, that it'd be very hard to connect with peace within myself. And then most recently, as I started doing parts work and was able to connect with the suicidal part and the eating disorder part with love and respect and understanding and appreciation, whereas before I was always trying to keep them locked up so that they would never come out, I have realized that locked up was one way of seeing the psych hospital. And then as I started to understand and appreciate and get to know the suicidal part and eating disorder part, I realized they loved, is that airplane? They loved being acknowledged and taken care of and respected and appreciated in the psych hospital. The dietitian at that psych hospital in New Orleans in 2000 was the first and probably only person that I had experienced really, really caring about feeding me. She really, really, really cared about finding something that felt safe enough for me to eat. And even though my body was the biggest it had ever been in my life, and even though I felt like I deserved food the least that I ever had in my life, she really just bent over backwards to find something that would feel comfortable for me to eat. And I've never felt like that before or since, other than how I'm, over the past year or two, been starting to be my own psych hospital for myself in a really, really gentle, loving, caring way. To say, gee whiz, you have got every reason to feel really overwhelmed and depressed and anxious and suicidal about this life. And I'm going to take just amazing care of you. I am going to be your own personal dietitian, and I'm going to make you every different thing until we find something that you feel comfortable eating. And I'm going to, don't worry at all about how much is wasted or not eaten. And I'm going to reconnect with you 3 or 4 times a day just to make sure that you have something in your system. And I'm going to be your art therapist. That was the other person at the psych hospital who I just loved. I'm going to be your art therapist, and I'm going to give you an art activity every single day, and I'm going to set it all up for you and let you have time to do that. And I'm going to be your social worker. I'm going to make sure you get your meds every day, and I'm going to make sure you tell your doctor what you need to tell your doctor, and I'm going to take you on a walk every day. I'm going to be your case manager, and I'm going to make sure you get what you need, and I'm going to take care of you and help you when you don't feel brave enough to ask for things, and I'm going to be your therapist. I'm going to listen to you with unconditional positive regard. Anytime you want to say something mean or frustrated or angry about anything that's going on in your life, I'm going to let you just talk and talk and talk and vent and vent and vent. And I'm just going to listen and be here for you, whether it's through journaling or making videos like this. And I'm going to be my own personal psych hospital to take unbelievable care of me, who for valid reasons has a really hard time, even if that means at some point that I take myself to an actual psych hospital, because everyone deserves care, and the level of care matches the level of need. And if I need more care, I'm going to ask for it. Because, and that's fun timing, I do not have to be good. I can be hurting. I can be broken. And I can still be a beautiful presence on this planet. And I believe that for all of us. Okay, love you so much.